Hello and welcome to PHOTOPLAY Paper. I'm Amy Sonnemann and today I get the pleasure of showing you how to create this adorable brag book designed by Rhonda Montero. I will show you how to assemble each of the pieces. I'll show you what's in each of the packages, both the brag book and the accessory pack, and then I'll show you Rhonda's beautiful book that she created with all of the pieces from both of the brag book and the accessory pack. So let's jump in. The first thing I'm going to do is start with the brag book. I'm going to walk you through what's inside, and then I'm going to show you each of the pieces. But this is what we're going to make today. We're going to make this brag book with lots of pages, some fun pockets, lots of space for decorating, some flip outs, as well as more pockets. When you open your brag book, you're going to notice that there's a cover and then a direction sheet. Make sure that you turn over the cover, because if you look under the flap, this is a part of the directions. So you're going to get steps 1 through 6 on the back of the packaging, and then the rest of the steps are on the additional sheet that you see here. Be sure not to throw away the packaging because you're going to need that to walk you through step by step. Inside, you're going to have all of the pieces to create the brag book and a few of the pockets. I'll show you each of those step by step as we go ahead and create the album. The accessory pack has all of the extras, so the extra tags that go inside of the pockets, as well as the tabs and extra pockets if you choose to make extra pockets. I'll show you that at the very end. Let's jump in and we'll show you how to create your brag book. In step 1, it says to locate the cover, which is 18 3/4 by 5 and 1.25 inches. There will be 2 sets of score marks on either side, and I know it's hard to show the score marks on camera, but I'm going to go ahead and mark all of the things that we need to be aware of. So you're going to lay it on your work surface with the spine side on the left. And then you're going to fold on all of the score lines and then set aside. You're going to take your piece of paper, which is the cover, and you're going to turn it bumpy side up. So as you run your hand across it, you're going to feel the bumps of the score line. And you're going to fold into those score lines. You're going to take your bone folder and just smooth those out so that they're flat. So go ahead and fold all of the score lines and flatten. Once you have your score lines folded, you're going to notice that one side is bigger than the other. The side that's thicker, you're going to want on the left-hand side. I'm going to mark that side with just an L so that I know exactly which side is the left side. I know that it always is supposed to face left when I'm working on it, so I don't accidentally turn my paper upside down and get it backwards. So this is the left side of your spine. Okay, so when you make your book, the left side is going to go over the top. The right side is a little bit thinner so that it matches perfectly. The next piece we're going to work with is the one with lots of score lines. It is 7 by 5, and as you can see, there's lots of score lines on that. This will become the hinge for your pages. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay it open on your surface with the bumpy side up. So when you run your hand across it, it's going to be the bumpy side facing you. Before we add any tape to it, I'm going to mark the pieces that need tape, if that makes sense, because there's a lot of score lines and it can get pretty confusing. So as we follow the score lines, there's parts of the score line that are more like a 1/4 inch and then some that are 1/2 inch. We're going to look for the 1/4 inch side on the left. We're going to skip that and we're going to put adhesive on the first 1/2 inch space. So we're going to put an X where that goes. Then you're going to look again for the next 1/4 inch space, and we're going to put an X on the one right next to it, which is a 1/2 inch. We're going to do that again. We're going to look for the 1/4 inch space, which you can see right here, I hope. And then we're going to put an X to the 1/2 inch one right next to it. Okay? So in the end, we'll have 3 pieces of tape on the first 1/2 inch place next to the 1/4 inch. Hopefully you can see that in the light. So there's a 1/4 inch and then a 1/2. You skip a 1/2, you go to the 1/4, you put your X. You skip a 1/2, you go to the 1/4, you go to the next one that's the 1/2. And then there's an extra 1/2 and a 1/4 at the very end. So start from the left, work to the right, and we should be good to go. Now you can go ahead and add your adhesive to where the X marks are. Let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and add my tape. I typically use tear tape, which is a little bit more forgiving. But today I'm going to go ahead and use red line tape just so it's easier for you to see where I'm placing the tape and what it looks like once it's down. It just makes it so much easier. In case I didn't mention it before, this is going to be the hinge that all of your pages attach to. So make sure that you go ahead and you add quite a bit of tape because you're going to want that to be secure because it's going to be used and opened and shut often. So go ahead and make sure that you use a lot of tape on that. I'm going to use 2 sets of tape just so it's nice and secure. We're going to go ahead and leave the tape attached for now. We're going to fold it first and then remove the tape to be able to secure the hinge for the pages to go on. So let's do the folding part, and that will make everything kind of fall into place and easier to understand once you see how it actually goes together. So this is step 3 if you're following along in the steps. You're going to turn the piece of paper over, fold up on the center score mark between the 2 1/2 inch sections, and that's going to form your peak. So it's similar to an upside down V or a mountain. Repeat that until you have 3 peaks. Fold each peak away from you, then toward you to relax the remaining score lines. So I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. So basically you're going to take it and you're going to fold it in half. I use my bone folder to flatten out each of the creases to make sure they're nice and straight and solid. There's 2 1/2 inch pieces. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to fold it on the 1/2 inch, and then you're going to go ahead and use your bone folder and score that really well. There are 2 more 1/2 inch pieces on the other side. You're going to do the same thing. Give it a good crease. Next we want to go ahead and fold these other pieces. And those pieces are going to fold up instead of down. So you're going to take it one at a time and fold those pieces. They fold pretty easily. I'm going to go back later and go ahead and kind of crease those really well. Okay, so I've got them folded, and it's going to look like an accordion, a funky accordion, but an accordion. I'm just going to score each of those with my bone folder so they're crisp and smooth. This is just going to allow your pages to move a little bit more freely and not be so stiff. Okay, after all of that, you now have this accordion that when adhered is going to look like this. Okay, right now it's not glued or taped shut, so it's going to look like that. So the next step is to go ahead and glue those pieces together one at a time. And then that will give you your accordion. So let's go ahead to the next step and we'll adhere those pieces. Let's go ahead and remove the backing piece of the adhesive and adhere the first one down. Like I said, this is not as forgiving as the tear tape, but boy does it hold well. The bad part is if you mess up, you're going to have to use undo to fix the mistake, which is fine. It's easy to fix. You just have to use undo. You can't just tear it apart or you will ruin your whole project. The adhesive is here. We're just going to fold that back on itself. We're going to rub it down. Just for security, I'm going to take my bone folder and give it a good push. All right, there's our first one. We're going to go ahead and do that for the remaining two. My adhesive is here. I'm just going to take the whole thing and push it over and give the score line another crease and make sure that the tape is solidly secure. Let's go ahead and do it one more time and then we're good to go. So our tape is here. We're just going to make sure that all of this part is not in the way so it doesn't adhere to the wrong thing. You're just going to push that over, flatten it out, then you now have your accordion folds like that. That will be the base for your pages in the book on the left-hand side. Now that we've completed our accordion and everything is taped together, we're going to want to flip that over and we're going to want to add adhesive to all four sides of the back of the accordion. So go ahead and do that. When we're finished adhering the tape to the back side of our accordion, this is what it will look like. Now we can move on to steps number 5 and 6. In the next step, we're going to go ahead and bring in the cover that we worked with that we put the L on. Do you remember where we put the L on the left-hand side, which is a little bit larger than the space on the right-hand side between the score lines? We're going to bring that piece back in. We're going to add adhesive where the L is, okay, on the left-hand side. The one thing I want to caution you on is we're going to leave a 1/4 inch at the top and the bottom where there's no tape. So when you lay your tape down, make sure you don't go past the 1/4 inch, and if you have to measure it or eyeball it and just put a little bit of a mark, maybe just over where a 1/4 inch would show, go ahead and do that, just to keep you so that it doesn't adhere to the wrong thing and you can center it top to bottom. So go ahead and add your adhesive, and you're going to want a lot of adhesive. The one thing I wanted to share with you, in case you have never worked with red line tape before, I had 2 rolls because I wasn't sure how much I would need it for this project, and I had them together like this, and typically red line tape is very sticky on the outside where it's cut, and my 2 rolls got stuck together, so I pried them apart with a bone folder or something flat, a knife or whatever, and then I took my tool, my powder tool that I usually use for embossing, and I just powdered the edges so that I can put them together and they're not going to stick. So just a helpful hint in case you ever end up with your red line tape stuck together like I did. I found the solution, so I wanted to share with you. So let's go ahead and we're going to put a ton of this red line tape because this is the piece that's going to get moved and folded and unfolded the most. Being aware that we want to stay a 1/4 inch in from each of the sides. And I just put the red line tape, I kind of butt it up one against the other so it's a nice solid piece. Now that I have all of my tape adhered to the left-hand side and we have our hinge created, the next step is to go ahead and adhere the hinge to this left side. Before I do that, I want to show you what it looks like finished. So let me bring in Rhonda's book and show you what that looks like. When you open the book, the hinge will be to the left-hand side of the book. Okay, here's your other hinge. Here's the left side of the hinge. So these are your pages, and what we're creating are the pages that are actually pockets. But we need to adhere the hinge to this fold. And that's what we're going to do next. So just so it puts it into perspective for you, because sometimes it's hard to visualize without actually seeing what the finished product looks like. And when we're done, I'll go ahead and show you this whole project step by step and walk you through it. When we're lining everything up, we're going to put this into the space on the left. So you're going to want to line it up so that there's a little bit of even spacing on the top and the bottom. So when you are centering it, you're going to center it top to bottom. And then you're going to want to center it left to right inside of those score lines. So I don't take all of the tape off at once. I take one piece off and I get it secure and I make sure it's centered top to bottom. I'll take one piece off and I'll get it started, and then I can go ahead and take the rest off. Because if I take all of the tape off and I have to move it at all, it's going to be a mess and I'm going to rip my pieces. So I'm going to take one piece off and gently get it started. I'm not going to push it down at all. I'm just going to get it started first and evenly spaced. So I'm going to flatten it out. It's easier for me to work on it this way. I hope you don't mind. So I'm going to flatten it out. I'm going to make sure it's centered left to right evenly. And I know my hands are in the way. So I'm going to center it left to right evenly, making sure that I'm not putting any pressure on this side where the tape is exposed. And I want to bump it up right against where that score line is before I press. When you're happy with it, go ahead and press it down, secure that piece, and now you can easily use that piece and it won't fall apart and you won't get tape in the wrong spot or things stuck without being in the right place. So now you can go ahead. I don't take it all off at once ever. I just do it in phases. So I'll do 2 strips of tape and roll it down, and then the last 2 strips of tape and roll it down. That way I don't accidentally make a mistake that I have to go get my undo for. I have my next 2 pieces of tape exposed. I'm going to pinch this next piece together, and I'm actually just going to rub that piece on the bottom flat so that it's just catching right there. Then I'm going to go ahead and do it again to those last 2 pieces. The last 2 pieces you might want to just kind of be careful as you're placing it to make sure that it is inside of the score line. I'm going to flip it around and kind of show you. I want this score line inside of the fold of this score line. So I'm just going to kind of pinch those 2 together again. Make sure it's inside of the score line and then flatten it. Okay? And I'm even going to take my bone folder and just give it a good crease so that it's nice and secure all the way around. If you remember, in step 4, we added adhesive to the back of our little folds, okay, our little spine. We're going to go ahead now and adhere that to the middle and the front cover. So go ahead and take off your backing paper and we'll adhere that down. After I removed the adhesive, instead of pushing this piece down flat on the table, what I did is I moved the flap up and pushed the piece that I'm adhering to that flap so that I get a nice square angle here, and I know that it meets the corner nicely. We'll do it again on the other side to demonstrate that again. We're going to remove the adhesive. I'm going to show you that again. I removed all of the adhesive from this flap. Instead of folding it down to this piece, I'm going to fold this piece up. So I'm going to leave this angled. I'm going to fold it up to meet each other, and then I'm going to press. Because what I want to do is get that nice corner angle like so, to make sure it meets perfectly in the corners and it folds nicely. Now I'm going to go back with my bone folder and just rub that down so it's nice and secure. You're not going to see this piece anyway. Once you decorate it, it's going to be covered, but it's going to keep your binder or binding nice and firm. Now that we have our accordion adhered into our cover, we're going to go ahead and create our pocket pages. So in your package, you have 3 identical sheets with 1 score line in the center. Go ahead and grab those. So what that's going to do is fold over the accordion piece like this, and then the bottom will be closed, the top will be open. Let me just show that to you in the finished album as well. So here is your accordion in your pages. Here's the pocket. Okay, so each one of those is going to become a pocket that you can do other fun things with. So that's what we're going to do next. Each side is adhered to one of those accordion pieces. Always helps to put perspective into things as you're creating something from scratch for the first time. Now that I have all 3 of my pockets with their adhesive, I want to score them. And remember, you're always putting the adhesive on the side with the bumpy side up. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but you're going to want to put it to the bumpy side because you're always going to try and score into that bumpy side. So then score your fold on all 3 of them. Use your bone folder to make them nice and flat. I also wanted to share with you, try and get your tape as close to the bottom as possible. If you go up a little bit higher, it's just going to eat into the space of the pocket itself. It's going to not be as deep. So do as I should have done, not as I did do on the third pocket. It's not going to be a big deal because I'll probably end up putting tags in there that don't go all the way to the bottom. But if you have something like photos that you want to go in there, make sure you put your adhesive as close to the bottom as possible. This isn't going to be a big deal, but just so you're aware. So let's go ahead and score the last one. Okay, I have my 3 pockets created. Next, we're going to go ahead and bring in our cover, and we're going to adhere our pockets. So when you look at your pocket, you're basically going to put this side to the bottom. Okay, so before I take the tape off, I'm going to show you. So we're going to take it like this, okay, fold it, put it over one of the little flaps, press it all the way to the bottom, and then you're going to adhere it. And once it's adhered, you're going to go ahead and have a pocket here. The one thing I want you to be aware of is make sure that it's flush with that accordion fold so that your pages cover that fold beautifully, okay? So that you don't have anything sticking out at the top or the bottom. To adhere those, you're going to lay your first page right up against that flap. You're going to make sure that it's centered nicely. When you're convinced that it's as close as it can get to that flap, go ahead and remove your paper. Instead of pushing this upward, we're going to lay this down. We're going to give it a good rub. Then we're going to go ahead and take the adhesive off the other 2 pieces, and everything should line up beautifully because you've got this started perfectly. Once you get one side started, it's easy to do the rest. Try to work smarter, not harder, you know. So now you're going to roll that down. And add your page. If you did it correctly, your spine should be on the left and your pocket should be at the top. Let's do the next 2 pages. Now I just line my top page up with the bottom page, and then they're all going to lay flat. So that kind of gives me a guide. When it's square, I double check it. Looks good. Then I roll that flap down. Now that I've got it started, the second half should be super easy. Same thing. I'm just going to roll that down, and you're going to rub everything down. Same thing, if you did it correctly, you'll have 2 pockets. Go ahead and finish the third. Once you have your third pocket adhered, I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to go ahead and give all of those pieces a little bit of an extra rub, just so that I know all of my tape is adhered and nothing's going to pop off. With this red line tape, it's not going to go anywhere, but I just do it for safety precautions. When you're finished, you should have 3 pockets that look like that. Next, we're going to work on the right side of your brag book. The piece I want you to pull out is the piece with a score, a small score line on the right hand side, and then a score line in the middle. And that's going to be step number 11. It's going to be 10 3/4 by 5 inches. And what this is going to create is the flap that comes out from here. Okay? So if I bring in the album, it's going to be this piece. This piece is going to get adhered to create another fold-out piece for you to decorate. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to put the bumpy side up again. We're going to fold our score lines. Give them a good crease with our bone folder. And we're going to go ahead and adhere that to this side. So we're going to need a piece of tape on this small flap. Okay, so it's going to look like this. We're going to put the tape on the outside here. So when you're done, it will look like this. And in the end, it's going to end up getting glued right there. So this fold is going to be butted up against this fold so that the two will open perfectly. Go ahead and remove your backing to your tape. And we're going to be adhering that to the right-hand side of this binding. Okay, so you're going to end up placing this just inside the fold of the back cover. I'm going to move it this way so I can see what I'm doing. So I want my edge to go right up against that fold. So once you have it centered top to bottom, left to right, we're going to go ahead and adhere that flap. So now you have this hinged flap. I'm going to go ahead and just rub it down a little bit, make sure it's adhered correctly. So when you fold your book, so when it's done, it'll look like this. Now we're going to go ahead and put in the pockets. And those are the fun things to decorate and to add fun little elements to. So let's do that next. In step number 12, we're going to go ahead and take the square piece that is scored on all four sides, and we're going to cut it diagonally with our paper cutter. So I literally want to cut it from tip to tip diagonally. I line it up with my blade and trim. So now what you'll have are two pockets to use in your album. Once you have it trimmed, we're going to trim off this little square piece at the bottom. And I want you to go right through that corner where it meets, okay? So we're just going to kind of give it a little trim. It doesn't matter that the angle's perfect. It just matters that there's not as much bulk there, because you're not going to see it when it gets adhered anyway. Okay, so we have two pockets with their little bottoms cut off. With the bumpy side up, we're going to go ahead and fold those two remaining sides, like so. Now as you look at it, you're like, well, that's not going to be a very pretty pocket because we have this little tab right here. We're going to go ahead and trim that off to make it square. So do that to both pieces. My scissors are a little sticky from that red line tape. They're not cutting quite as well as they did when I first started. So now flip those two pockets over and we're going to add adhesive here and here on both of them. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Now you have your two pockets prepped and ready to get adhered. I want to go ahead and show you what it looks like when it's finished. If you're going to decorate this back piece, I highly recommend decorating it before you adhere your pocket, just because it's so much easier. You don't have to worry about cutting this angle. You've adhered everything before you add the pocket, and then you don't have to worry about it. So you're going to add your pocket to the inside front cover here. That's where one pocket will go. The other pocket will go to the back of the cover. So when you open it up, you'll have a pocket on either side. Let's go ahead and do that. And when you decorate, it's going to cover up this piece where you adhered your hinges to. So you're going to want to decorate all of that first and cover up all of the places where we glued before you add your pockets. So this would be the last step after you adhered your patterned paper or decoration. We took our backing paper off of the corner. We're just going to gently line that up so that it's even on both the left and the right. When we got it the way we want it, we're going to press it down really nicely. We're going to do the same to the back side. You're going to line it up with the corner and both edges and not get your fingers stuck in the way. And rub down your pocket. I always give it an extra rub with my bone folder to make sure it's secure. So now you have your two pockets in place. The next thing we're going to want to do is work with the two of the last three pieces in your kit. And they are scored on three sides. They're going to be pockets as well. We're going to make sure that the bumpy side is up. We're going to take our scissors and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut that corner off the bottom where the two score lines cross. So it's open at the top and you're cutting an angle on both of these sides at the bottom. I should have used my titanium scissors because these are getting really sticky. Note to self, right? Okay, so now you have those pieces. We're going to go ahead and fold them up to create the pocket. So fold up into that bumpy score line on both pieces, preparing them for the adhesive. Okay, so you've got your pockets ready for adhesive. Go ahead and put adhesive on all three sides, these little tabs, and then we'll be ready to go. Now that you have your pockets ready, we're going to adhere one of the pockets to any of the pages on the inside. So it can be on the front side here. It can be on one of the back sides. That's up to you. Put your pocket wherever it makes the most sense for your project. So you have a one pocket on one of the flip pages. The other pocket, we're going to go ahead and adhere to the front of that flip out, like this. Okay, so you're going to add it. Here's your flip. You're going to add it here. So go ahead and adhere your pockets. Again, this is going to be the last step you do to add your pockets because you're going to want to decorate the back of any of these, cover up all of the extra pieces that are here, cover up anything that you've added here. So the pockets are definitely the last thing you do. I would actually decorate the pocket before I adhere it as well. So that, my friends, is the completed album. The only thing we have to do now is worry about the closure. The last piece you should have in your kit looks like this, and it has a bunch of different score lines, about 1/4 inch apart. So if you lay your piece of paper bumpy side up, we're going to add adhesive to that smaller side. So there's a piece here that's more square than it is rectangle. You're going to want the square piece. That's where you're going to put your adhesive. So on that square side to the left, you're going to go ahead and place your adhesive. So here's the front. The flap opens this way. You're actually going to adhere it so that this is your closure. Okay, does that make sense? So we're going to flip it over like so. This is the back of your album. I put the flap on before I decorate the back, just because then the flap is underneath your paper and it's very secure. So what I do is I bend it like this, make sure that it's centered left to right, like you want it, okay? Then I'm going to take off my adhesive. So I'm actually going to center it without touching this flap down. I'm going to center it left to right. I'm going to make sure it's in that crease. It's nice and square. Then I'm going to roll it down. That way you know this piece is square and it's going to fold nicely. I don't bend any of these until I know how thick my book is going to be. And then when my book is all finished, I've got all of the elements inside, my decorations are done, then I go ahead and score it to the thickness of the mini brag book. Now, that completes our assembly of the mini brag book. Now I want to show you up close how all of it looks, each page step by step, so that you can get a better idea. I'm going to go ahead and get really close so you can see everything up close and personal. Rhonda created this with the different pieces from
the Magical Vacation Collection
with Tula and Norbert. Double mounting some of the stickers. This is one of the cut-aparts mounted on matching paper. What I want to show you here is she only added foam adhesive to 3 sides of this so that you have a space to slide your closure into, okay? So it just slips right underneath that 3x4 cut apart. How fun is that? All right, here's the spine. She used the smile stickers and a little bit of twine to create that fun edge. She added the closure first, and then she added a piece of decorative paper to the back to cover up where that closure was adhered. So this is the back. How cute is that? I love this, the smile on the outside. She also added a little strip of paper here to cover up the binding. When you open it up, here's your first pocket. You have room for elements here, whether they be photos or tags or journaling. That would be super fun to add journaling in there. Or maybe even signatures. Wouldn't that be cute to have like a little ring of signatures or a little bunch of tags with all of the Mickey and Minnie signatures? If they even do that anymore, I don't know. Then you open up the book and you have your pockets. So you have 3 pockets that you can add pictures or tags or whatever to. Journaling, if you want hidden journaling, that would be great too. So you could add a photo or element to the outside. So she decorated with paper on the inside of each of the pages. These elements are all from the accessory pack, so you can add different flips and folds. So one can go here, one can go here. Her pocket is here. Remember we talked about adding the pocket? Again, I would decorate the back first and then add the pocket. And I always decorate the pocket before I adhere it down. You could easily put a picture here or some journaling. Tula and Norbert, they're just so dang cute. Here's a great spot for another photo. You have different elements that you can put in the top, and I'll show you those from the accessory pack as well. Rhonda made an extra pocket at the bottom with some decorative paper and some foam tape. So there's foam tape only on 3 sides to be able to add photos or extra 3x4 elements in the back. So that would be cute as well. On the right hand side, there's another pocket for all of the fun treats. How cute is that? All of the yummies that we indulge in when we go to Disney. You open that up And the accessory kit allows more flips and folds. So this is another piece in the accessory kit. I would go ahead and adhere this before I decorated this so that your flap is hidden. This extended page allows you to go ahead and add more photos. When you close that, you go to the back, and Rhonda went ahead and added this cute little slide so that there's only foam tape here and foam tape here, so you can go ahead and slide your little autographs or photos. There's actually enough room in there for a couple different things, so how fun would that be? And then you have your back again with your diagonal pocket. Lots of room for extra photos, whatever you might like to add into that pocket. I showed you some of the pieces of the accessory kit, but I'm going to show you a few more. So Rhonda made these little tags that go inside of the little pockets with some fun ribbon. So when you look at it, you get to see the Say Cheese. Here's another one. And you can actually decorate it on both sides if you like. Add more space for journaling and so forth. Here's another. What a day. Like I said, you can easily decorate the back side and double the amount of photos you can include on those tags. All right, so those are part of the accessory kit. You can also use some of the accessory pack to make little tags and add 3x4 photos to it, or 3x4 cut aparts. This one was turned into a tag that can be folded upward. That can go in any of the pockets. This one was actually scored here and folded. This one is actually folded at the very top. So you could do it either way, whatever works for you. If you want it scored here, you could score it there. If you don't want it, if you don't want the ribbons, you don't have to do the ribbons. If you want more ribbons, you know, it's all in what makes you happy. So it's kind of fun to just add different little pieces and parts, you know, mix and match. As you notice, this one is in black. I showed you the one that comes in white, just so you can see it easier on film. Rhonda chose to do the black with the Magical Vacation collection, which is perfect for that. It just depends on what kind of paper you're using, whether you like the black versus the white, but both are available, as well as accessory packs that match. How fun would this mini brag book be to grab your favorite paper collection and just decorate something for friends, for a baby book? A baby brag book would be absolutely adorable. For a vacation, for a graduation gift. So many options for just this mini brag book that's fun, and you can create it in an afternoon. All of the coordinating stickers and die cuts you can use to embellish this book. Absolutely adorable. I hope that that helps make the process of assembling your brag book easier. Be sure to pick up the accessory pack to be able to add all of the fun different elements inside the brag book so that you can add flips and folds and waterfalls and interactive pockets and so forth. How fun would that be? Again, this kit is available in both white as well as black with the matching accessory pack. So we hope that you have fun creating and enjoying this little afternoon project. If you create something, we'd love to see it. So be sure to tag us at #PHOTOPLAYPAPER. We would love to see your finished projects. We appreciate you stopping by today, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.